you so much, Chris, for coming out, to you, and to a heck of a conversation we're about to have. I got to tell you, you're my first guest that I've had on where I get to actually talk about a specific talent that you have and that you're very passionate about, something that I know nothing about, and I think that a lot of listeners can really listen to and figure out what are some of the behind the scenes of what it takes to be an artist, a musician, a sound coordinator, everything that you do that's just actually pretty interesting. Something that I've always wanted to ask you, but it's a lot of details to get into, so we've never had the right time to sit down and chat. So I'm glad you've given me this opportunity, man. So thank you for coming out, Chris. Appreciate it. The first thing I actually realized is I don't really know a lot about your background. So how about we start there? Tell me a little bit about where you grew up and what your influence has been and how you've gotten to the position that you're in now.
Well, I grew up in Tracy, California, and I would say my influences growing up were MC Hammer and Michael Jackson and Rick James and all these people that were like the brightest stars, like very unique individuals who had a specific lane for their creative outlet. And I guess it all started with dance, seeing Michael Jackson dance in videos and like seeing Usher and Chris Brown, and then moving from dance, then eventually dance moved into music because it all feels like one.
It's a way of expressing that you kind of just bond with and say, this is actually something really cool.
Yeah.
It's funny how you mentioned like the MC Hammer growing up back in the day and watching him do the moves that I didn't even know you could actually do. Michael Jackson was on a whole another level about what he was able to do and just that entertainment value that no one's been able to replicate since.
Yeah.
I mean, people have tried and they've all done their own things, like you were saying, Usher and whatnot, but that was a special person back then. So I can see how, just even thinking about my own memories about him, about how the influence of music can definitely drive you to go forward and say, hey, this is something that really, I'm really interested in. But what actually got you to say, you know what, that's more of a hobby, but this is something that I really want to do? Because most of us may look at music and music videos and say, I love watching it. I go with the beat. I love listening to the gym, but I can never do what they're doing. I mean, that's not me. Like, what is it about you that you first discovered as a youth where you're like, dude, this is something I can actually do? I don't know what it is, man.
I think I always enjoyed dancing, and I would always just dance by myself. And I think it all started in the 6th grade when I had started at a new school, and then there was a school dance. And I was like the shy kid, and I didn't really talk much to anybody. But when the dance came, I started dancing, and everybody was like, yo, he can dance, like what? And just to see everybody light up when I would move, I'd be like, oh, shoot, like people enjoy seeing me like dance. I don't know. And I enjoy it. So it kind of stemmed from that moment, I think.
Jeez, like, to be able to just have that natural talent. Were you even practicing, or you just went up on stage and just let it flow?
Just let it flow.
That's crazy, man. That really is. Like, that's natural talent to be able to do that. I'd be the shyest kid in the world. Like, I wouldn't even know where to put the left foot in front of the right foot, and you probably just killed it that one day.
Yeah.
So what were the next steps from that? Once you realized that that's something that I really want to do, and let's see where this goes, what was the next step after that performance in the 6th grade?
I think I started watching, I would watch the MTV videos in the morning before school. That would inspire me. And then I'd also watch turf dancing videos on YouTube. And in the 8th grade or freshman year in high school, that's when I started turf dancing. And then social media was happening, and I was on Facebook and MySpace, and I was kind of connecting with people from all over the Bay Area on that platform by like uploading my videos. Now they're seeing it, now they're commenting, I'm commenting on theirs. So I was kind of like networking on social media at that time. And eventually sophomore, junior year, me and a group of my friends, we started a turf dancing group, and we started going to the Bay Area, specifically San Francisco, and battling and dancing on Market and Powell, and it just kind of kept growing from there.
Oh, now, I think I know what it is, but for anybody that doesn't know, and correct me, what is turf dancing?
Okay, turf dancing.
Give me the lowdown.
Turf dancing comes from Oakland. It is a mix of popping, locking, derives from the boogaloo. It can be eventually incorporated with bone breaking, which is
Not literally bone breaking.
it's called bone breaking, not literally bone breaking.
All right. I mean,
It's like if you ever seen anybody do all those flexible moves with their arms, like on America's Got Talent or any of those music videos,
like that contortionist thing where you can.
There we go. That.
Wow.
All that, and then tutting is another part of, and tutting and footwork. Yeah.
Tutting. Wow. Jeez, man. I've seen some of those. I think I've seen a couple on your Instagram too, where you were doing that. Like, this is crazy stuff, man. It reminded me of like that Cirque du Soleil stuff. When people do it, it's like the raw talent you would need to do that. First of all, the physical talent to be able to. I don't know if you have to have special joints where you could do that naturally and then you're set for it, or you literally just got to practice doing all that. That's what it is.
It's both. I had friends who naturally were just double jointed, and but me, I would wear hats and beanies all the time, so I'll just take it off and like just stretch, and eventually like I got flexible enough to just start doing it. Yeah.
That is awesome, man. So what's it like when you come out here to San Francisco, or when you did and you were turf battling or turf dancing? Like, what is that like? You just come out and perform for the crowds, for the tourists, or it's like a legit like, dude, we're gonna compete with these guys over here?
It's legit. Like it was. I remember I was super nervous when I started doing that. Yeah, because I didn't realize like how real it was, and like it was really like the same vibe as like You Got Served, Stomp the Yard, like that vibe.
Wow, really? Those are some awesome movies, man. Stomp the Yard and that. So it was literally like that. It's like people get into it, like, no, seriously,
they get into,
we're getting
people fight. Like,
jeez. Man.
But it was a way to also keep people out of the streets, like give like people something to do, like throw your energy into dance. So it was a way for people to also maybe take out their frustration by battling somebody, or just show how passionate they are about dance by battling somebody.
You know, I think it's cool you brought that up, that it's an outlet for so many people. Some of them may be like, I don't know what else to do in my life, but I have this talent and I want to run with it there.
Yeah.
That's really powerful to be able to give somebody an opportunity to say, hey, dude, come out there and do this. You have a talent. Let's get you being productive. Let's see what you can do with this. Jeez, how is this turf battle thing? Has it evolved? Is it kind of fizzled out? Or are there still people that are legitimately into it?
It's definitely evolved. It's become a lot more commercial, and which is dope. Which I got a lot of friends I used to dance with that are in all kinds of videos that are doing their thing. They're in like the video games, like doing the dances, like and like Rick and Morty, like doing their thing on Rick and Morty.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the Soulja Boy Rick and Morty, but yeah,
I gotta check it out now.
Yeah.
Man, that is crazy, man. So what's this? Now that it's evolved to be what it is now, is there like an actual industry where you can legitimately have a career with this, or it's still more of a talent that you guys do on like the weekends, and then that's pretty much it?
I don't believe in a starving artist. I believe in a passionate artist who succeeds, and so I believe that anything that you believe you can do, you can do it. Like I think it's maybe there's there's so many people who can do certain things, and it feels like there's like a smaller amount that actually do them or succeed in it or whatever. But at the end of the day, I personally feel like uh, success is happiness, and if you it happiness always boils down to like a worthiness or a lack consciousness, like
I think it is. You're right. I think it is definitely a willpower issue with some people where it's like you have this raw talent, but it's up to you to decide what you want to make with it. Like nothing's going to be given to you, but if you believe in it strongly enough, no matter if it's dance, music, whatever it is, like you can actually make something of it and maybe make something of your own that no one's ever done before.
yeah.
It's kind of like the mindset that a lot of these people have who start up their own companies. You come up with a crazy idea that no one's ever thought about, or if they did, they might have said, there's no money in that, there's no future in that. And you build it into something that no one ever thought of, and now you become successful. You become the name in the game. You're right. So a lot of just that hard work and determination really goes a long way. How about back when you were a kid growing up in Tracy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was your environment like? Did you have a strong family bond with your brothers, sisters, family? Did you have a lot of friends nearby? Was there what was your environment like that kind of helped you propel into this career? Did you have support? Were people like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, I went to I had lots of friends, and everybody supported me, and the only thing that ever held me back from anything was myself. Everybody always believed in me, and which is beautiful. And I actually grew up around MC Hammer too, so I got to I've been in some shows, been on like a tour, and like that's basically family. Like me and all his sons and daughters, we all went to school together. We grew up together. So being around that energy had a huge influence as well. Like just seeing like work ethic, and also having access to an amazing dance studio to just like let it all out, do whatever, like blast the music and like find your own rhythm. Like, yeah.
That's just so crazy that you were that close with MC Hammer and his family. I mean, I know he lives around here, still does.
Yeah.
But that's so awesome. How are you able to get in with that? Now, how did that work? Did you know his like son in high school? Did it just?
We all went to middle school together, and my parents are good friends with, like, my mom's. My parents are good friends with them too. So like we always were at barbecues, all of that. It's family.
That's awesome, man. What has like been the one? It's probably been a lot of things, but like one thing that you've learned from him and his family about this is the industry, this is your talent. Here's how you take it to the next level that maybe you wouldn't have gotten if it was just you and a couple of your buddies.
I'd say just do it. Work hard. Go for it. Do it. Believe in yourself, and be business minded, and carry yourself correctly.
I think that's probably the biggest thing that I could just kind of tell now is somebody who's been doing this for so long and was as influential as he is, learn this. I would say learn the system, but learn how everything works in a way that people with just talent may not know on their own. So it's really good you brought up the business side. Like, how did that mindset come across to you about business when he talks to you about, hey, this is what you got to think about. This is what producers and people in Hollywood are looking at that you would have never thought of. Anything specific?
I wouldn't say that we had many conversations about anything specific like that, because I didn't care about a lot of things when I was younger, and I was more so like observant and just watching and taking note of like all the details of things. Yeah.
Was there like one story that you can think of, that one interaction you had with the family at the dance studio where something just blew your mind? Not so much a performance, but like a reality check. Like, oh wow, this is what it really takes to get ahead in the industry. This is what it really takes to take my talents to the next level. Anything that comes to your mind?
I think just being around and realizing that we're all people, and and just knowing the story of what his journey was, or what anyone else's journey is, from like where they started to, and like how they got to where they got, um, instead of looking at people as like holier than thou or higher than, or like not a person, just understanding that we're all people, and it's the decisions we make along the way that get us to where we go.
That's powerful stuff. And it's so true. You're right that really it's everybody just has a way of doing things that are totally different than what should actually happen. It's great to know that, you know, you are much more you're much more than just what your talents are. It's like we're all people too. We can learn so much from everybody else, and just being humble just
That,
is
yeah.
such a great life lesson right there. So really, just that influence in your life just seems like it was just a great benefit, such a blessing to have that. And you know, how has that evolved now with where you're at now? What's the future like with this endeavor that you want to journey into?
I used to always feel like the past should be reinvented, and now I feel like the past is just the bouncing off board to what's to come. So I meaning like I have ideas about things that maybe have or haven't been done before. In terms of because I started making like pop music, and then I transitioned into making experimental ambient music and working with ballet and modern dance.
I listened to that album that you sent me. That's really like the emotions that it brings out of you, the environment that it actually creates. Like, how did you? So, what was that transition like from the turf dancing part to saying I'm going to expand to this area? Like, what clicked in your head that was like, dude, this is really where I want to go with this?
Music has always been the thing that, like, music is what gets me to dance. Like, is like the music is I just love music, and I'm like, there's so many people that make it. Like, why not me? And I had the resources, so and it was a very organic process in how the music was created. It was me and basically a group of friends, but mostly me and one of my friends, Ross Domingo, who created a lot of the music together. Yeah.
That's crazy. And just to be able to spend time together. I'm guessing when you guys started this, it's like we have no clue how this whole thing is going to work, what to do where, and you just learn as you go. To say, okay, we kind of have the vision of what we want to make. How do we do that? How do we do this, do this, do this? We're going to stumble along the way, but eventually we're going to kind of find our own niche and make something that we actually enjoy. Like that's you know, I think the one thing with that, and just what I'm learning from you already about your past years, is that there's an overall theme of you have to put in the work. You could have all the talent in the world, but if you don't put in the work and develop in so many different ways, you know, it may not take you anywhere. Like you really have to consistently be making yourself better, checking out different routes, talking to different people, learning different things, taking the best of what some people offer, making mistakes, but learning from them and going forward with that. And, you know, I think it's something that even as talking to you right now, I'm realizing that a lot of people don't really understand that, you know, you may see something on TV or hear an album and think, okay, that was probably pretty easy to make or pretty generally simple to do. I could probably do that. But behind the scenes, it's like it's a lot of work that goes behind it.
Mm-hmm.
There are days where maybe, you get a few hours sleep. There are times where maybe you don't see the people that you want to see, friends, family, whatever. It's like you got things going right now. Is that fair to say that's probably something that you've experienced so far in doing this?
Definitely.
Like, what's that grind like? Like, do you get any sleep?
Everything you have to prioritize, I guess. As I move through life, I figure out what's more important, like what are the important things, and you just make time for those important things. And time, like there was a time where I was working all day, and I was like creating music at night for shows, and I'd be using my lunch breaks to create sound scores or compositions for ballet shows. So during that time, I was not sleeping much, and like kind of not eating much.
I mean, I believe that if you're working that hard, that you don't have much time to think about eating, let alone anything else. Man, just the idea that you have to put so much effort into that, knowing that, as great of work as you can make, maybe no one hears it, or maybe the show might say that's okay, we're going to move on with something else. But yet you still push forward and say, I'm not going to let anything that could get me down, keep me down. Like I have to keep pushing forward, excuse me. If someone was listening to this right now and they're in a similar boat, they have a lot of talent in something, whether it's dance, music, production, whatever it is, what would be like your biggest piece of advice to tell them if they think that just my talents alone are going to get me to the place I want to be? I'm going to make so much money. I'm going to be so popular. I'm going to be the number one person. What would be like your advice to them about, okay, this is how it's really working. Like, this is what I've experienced so far in my life.
I think if you're going for popularity and fame and money and all that type of stuff, then it's going to be a really hard journey. But if you're doing it for the love and the passion and like the feeling that comes out of you when you're creating and like the process, then it'll be a really fun journey.
I think that's pretty much hitting the nail on the head there. It's more about, it's even like this conversation here that we're having now. I do it because I enjoy it. Like, I like talking to people and learning different things. It helps expand my mind because, if I only limit myself to what I think is correct, I'll never know the other side of the equation. I'll never know what it takes to do what you do right now because I would never think about it. So hearing the people go through some of the grinds, like what you're talking about, it really helps open up my eyes, at least, to see, what's really out there with everybody. I think it's something that gets missing a lot in, like social media, for all its great things, and there's a lot of great things. There's a lot of, there's a lot that it also does that probably isn't the best influence with whatever. It's easy to look at profiles and, posts and think somebody has this glamorous life. Mm-hmm. But in reality, it's like, that's just what they're telling you. It's not, the grind every day that it takes to get to a certain point. And, it's something that I hope to let the younger people know, especially, like, everything that you see out there, you can obtain if you put the work into it. But that work requires a lot of, personal sacrifice. You may be living at home longer than you would want to. You may have to work 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet so you have the time to put into your passion. It may not happen right away for you. It may take 5 or 10 years because that's just the natural progression of whatever. And it kind of goes back to the theme of, I want something now, but life doesn't work out that way.
Yeah, if we, like, saying you want things now is equivalent, like saying, oh, I want everything now. I want to get married now. I want the car now. I want the fame now. I want the money now. I want all this now. It's equivalent to saying, I want all the meals I'll ever eat in my entire life now.
It's a good way to put it. Give it all to me now. Yeah. Man. Yeah. Jeez. Like, how is that, I guess I should put it this way here too. So for all the friends that you've had where you've gone through this whole transition with dancing, whatever, do most people still have the same mindset as you? Like, I have to really invest in this. I have to really keep going. Or is it one of those where, I have fun with it while I did, and now, life is taking me a different path now, and, what I was passionate about then maybe isn't something that I want to continue on. Is that something that you see a lot of in the dance industry? Specifically the type of dance that you're very passionate about?
I think that artists are either working from motivation or inspiration. And now that I've been able to discern the difference between motivation and inspiration, I only like to work off of inspiration rather than motivation, because motivation feels like hard and not fun. But that doesn't mean that if you motivate yourself to do something that you can't get it done. It's just the harder way around, in my opinion. When you feel inspired to do it, then you wake up and like, I want to make music today. Like, I want to go on a run, and like the energy flows through you when you do it. When you have to motivate yourself, it's like, all right, let me get up, let me do this, it just feels like.
No, I get it, definitely. Do you ever hit the point where it's like, I really am inspired to work on this project, music or dance or whatnot, but I gotta pay the bills. I got rents due, the power bills due. How do you find that balance? Because right now I'm guessing, and correct me if I'm wrong, your passion, you're growing it so much, but maybe the financial benefits aren't where you want it to be right now. But then that's why you have to go out and continue to have a regular job. Do you feel that sometimes that balance gets in the way of saying, right now I got to go work and pay the bills, and then later on I can, go do my thing with that?
It only gets in the way if I'm ever feeling unappreciative of my day job. And I'm appreciative of it. And I always tell myself, if I'm going to work outside of like art, music, whatever, it's going to be something fun. Because there's a lot of time that goes into that. And time is like always moving. Like, time is very important to me. And so it's like, if you have a job and you don't like it, that's a lot of time that you put into something that you don't like.
I mean, pretty straightforward.
And I happen to like my job, so
that's awesome,
yeah.
Man. So how about this? Tell me about this new project that you're working on with the ballet. How is that going? What's the progression been?
So for the past 3 years, I've been composing music for dance, and working with choreographers and different ballet and modern dance companies. And now, since the pandemic has shaken things up, I've been feeling inspired to create my own live show around my ambient experimental music, involving potentially multiple styles of dance and multiple choreography. Like, I just want a whole collaborative show, basically.
So are you creating that, or it's already in production? How is this working for you so far?
The music is already being created. The music is already being created. It's once the music is done, or at a place where I feel like, all right, this is the tone of the show. This is like what I'm going for. And then once I'm able to communicate that to a choreographer or some dancers, then it's gonna be easy from there.
Okay. So to put on this actual show, you have to create the music first to say, this is the theme that I want. Now that I have it, I have to get in touch with the choreographer to say, this is where I want to go with this. What can you do for me? Or is this your style? Is that how it works, or you just have to keep looking for a choreographer that's gonna work with your music?
I want for my idea to be solid, but also flexible, so that when I do present the music or my ideas to somebody that I'd love to collaborate with, they completely understand like what I envisioned. But I'm also open to hear like how it could shift or it could change, or maybe the tone could be a little different, or like what could they add, or yeah, I'd just like to collaborate.
So how does the process work? So you find a choreographer, you guys collaborate and say this is how we want the show to go. Do they have to go find the dancers, or they already have like a dance studio team that they work with?
So I was 3 years ago. All of it started because I went to Cal State East Bay, and I was a biology major for like 2.5 years, and I switched over to theater arts and dance. And once I started taking dance, I started to dive into all types of music, and I started doing ballet. I started doing all this dance styles, and from there, because I already had like I'm a natural mover, and so I just started to get hired for different things to like, come perform at the Black Choreographers Festival. Like Laura Ellis, she put me in the Black Choreographers Festival 2016, and that's when I first saw contemporary ballet. I never knew about it, and once I saw that, that kind of blew my mind, because before that, I just thought of ballet as like classical and like the Nutcracker and like things like that, and I just thought that was boring. But once I saw contemporary ballet, I was like, whoa, this is mind blowing. And the company I saw was Dawson Dance SF, and from there, and also because with contemporary ballet, the music is even interesting. It's very interesting. The music, the aesthetic of the dancers, and maybe the aesthetic of the lights, and the faster paced movement, and like the physicality to it, and it and then from there, I just at that same time I was also making this music that I made for the album Fading Blue, and then eventually I kept getting invited to perform at different things, and I kept experiencing dance from different choreographers, and like getting a wider range of what dance is. I think I had a more general sense of what dance was until I got to see like a contemporary modern and like all these other different subcategories of dance that I never knew about. And in towards the end, when I was about to graduate, I was a part of a show called Soul to Soul that was produced by Laura Ellis and Gregory Dawson, and it was me and like 7 other dancers from all different dance companies: Dawson Dance SF, Lines, Ballet, like I forgot who, Robert Moses. There was some people from that group. So it was a really interesting collaborative thing. And literally the day that I graduated, I performed right after the graduation. But that show involved music that I created that Laura Ellis asked me to create. And so my music and Robert Moses' music was in that show. And from there, Greg was like, "Oh, I really like your music." And so we exchanged numbers or something, I think. And eventually I started making this music that it all happened because I didn't know how to make the music that I wanted to make. And so I was just making sounds, but I have an ear for sound, so I was just tweaking it. And then eventually I just had an idea of going on YouTube, pulling up some contemporary ballet videos, muting them, and then playing my music over it. And I was like, "Oh, whoa, this is actually dope." And then I had an idea of creating a show around my music. And then so I hit up Greg, and I just had a presentation ready, and like this is my idea. Like, I would love to like work with you on like something like, and that's kind of, and from that he was like, oh, I'd love to continue to work with you and use your music, and so that's kind of how that happened with him, and
Dude, that's so awesome, man. I mean, the first part about contemporary ballet, you're right. I would have been in the same boat as you. I would have known that there's a difference. I would just think ballet like the Nutcracker, typical, more traditional, what you would think it is. And then to go from that to be able to say that I have a vision about the music I make and how these two things can work together. Does that make you a pioneer in this? Is anybody else doing this?
I don't think so. I think most people that do this went to music school. And I'm just, because I'm a dancer, it's easy for me to know how to move to things or what sounds good. Like, I have the ear for it. So, and then learning from like all the other collaborative processes with my friends in the music that we created, like using Logic and using Pro Tools and Machine. Like, I just kind of took the skills that I learned from that and like started just making this ambient experimental music.
That's just, it's your journey to get there is so it's inspiring, and it's just unbelievable too, that to be able to put those two things together that no one probably had ever thought of before, this type of ambient music with the contemporary ballet. First of all, explain to me, how does the contemporary ballet differ from the traditional one? Is it the outfits? Is it the way what's the difference?
Classical is usually work that's been done year after year after year after year. And depending on the choreographer, there may be like something different about it. But contemporary comes from, it's different every time. And yes, also the outfits or the costuming can be different, more like, I haven't seen a lot of classical ballet, but I've seen a lot more contemporary ballet. And contemporary, they made, in general, you see the dancer's body in ballet. Everything is skin tight, but that's the point. So you can see the lines and like see the physique and see like all of what they've been practicing up until that point. And contemporary ballet, I've noticed that there's more of an edginess to it, and there might be even like sometimes less clothing, or the stage may be darker, or like there's just a whole nother like it can be anything. And I just like that that it doesn't have to be the same thing. It can come from nothing. Or not nothing, but like
From somebody's imagination.
Yeah, from the imagination of the choreographer.
That's awesome, man. You're right. I never would have, I could probably see contemporary ballet in a show and not, if no one told me it's called contemporary ballet, I would just, it's a new form of dance, and not put two and two together and just say, this is pretty cool. It's an awesome experience. So in putting this whole thing together, we'll call you the pioneer in this industry now. Putting this whole thing together with the music and the choreographer, what other steps are involved that no one probably even thinks about too? Is it like finding the venue? Is it getting the dancers to commit? Like, what else is going through it that's, shows the time invested into making this happen?
I'm gonna say, I think most of it is a passion for it, and faith, but it can also be knowing the right people that are willing to help guide you, or show you, or like let you know what their mistakes were so that you don't have to make those. Or I think it's like a mixture of all of that.
So like, what do you need now to make the show happen that you envision? where are you at in that process? Or do you guys have a date set? Like, we have a show. It's called this. It's going to be performing here on this day and time. Or do you have that? Or are you still like, we still need to work out all the kinks still?
There's kinks. I have a lot of ideas. I have a few venues that I have in mind. I have, it's one step at a time, because I do so many things. Whenever I work on music, I mostly do it when I feel inspired to do it. So I'm not really on a timeline, and that feels great to me. Like, I don't really like timelines, deadlines, and I think that's also what a lot of music artists kind of hate about the music, and not hate, but like, because I don't know how it is today with record labels, whatever, but I know like before you had to put out an album at a certain date. You have to do things at a certain time. And there's a lot of artists that before that, they were just organically making the music, and whenever they felt like it was ready, then it was ready. And I think that's why a lot of artists, they go independent, so they can do their own thing. So they're not controlled and manipulated and like producing in a specific way that isn't true to them. So yeah.
I mean, it is a dark side of the music industry that nobody talks about. It's like when you see somebody come onto the scene first time and they have that one album and everybody hears it and it's like, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then you don't know how long it took them to make that album, to create all those songs. And now that they're on top of the world now it's like, oh, you got to get one album in 6 months from now. We're going to need another one in 2 years. And you're going to go on tour or whatever. You don't think about that as a consumer of the product, that this person has to now, their life's been thrown upside down. We see the fame, the popularity, like, oh, they got the world in their hands. What could they be upset about, or what could possibly go wrong? But the reality is, like you were saying, to be in an industry like this, where your best work comes from organic inspiration on your own timetable, to really find out, these things come to you when they come to you. It's not like I can go into a studio tomorrow, write a bunch of songs, and they're all going to be hits. It's like, I need to develop this. And then forgetting that as a consumer, that this is what a lot of these artists go through. And then if we ever hear stories about them, like what happened later on, why did they fall off the map? And, people think, okay, they just wasn't their time anymore, move on. But really, it's like a lot of it is just, that's the demands of the industry. It's like, once you're in there, it's like you're expected to do all these things. Otherwise, get out and we'll find somebody else.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's like the way that people are being able to go independent, like you were saying, you can make what you want when you want. You don't have any pressure of saying, I got to pay the bills. I'm not under no obligation on somebody's schedule where I have to do certain things. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, I'm proud of the work that I made. Like, that's such a powerful position to be in. It's just it's a shame that kind of thing gets lost in the modern world, because we're so focused on, you got to make this much money, you got to live here, you got to have this lifestyle. But to get that, and to also do what you want to do organically on your own pace, and a lot of times they just don't go together.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of talking about this earlier. I think that's a lot of what we see are the challenges in the world with people in our age group. Like, I'm sure you've talked to a couple of people, you don't have to say their names, but it's like that pressure to have to do and live a certain life. But really, it's like, I want to be like, this is who I am over here. This is the pace I want to live at. This is where I want to live at. And then just trying to find that balance in the world now. So I think it's really cool to hear what you've been doing and how you've been able to find that balance. You have a lot of support from your friends and family. And I think that's huge, because like imagine having parents who said they think wait, what you're doing is a waste of time, or having friends that would ridicule you, which means they're not really your friends, or having people that don't want to help you with your talent because they don't think you're good enough. To have all that support in your network, it's just such a great thing to have. And I think it's one lesson that if we could take away from this for somebody who's listening, who's maybe thinking about doing something with this, is that, don't put the pressure on yourself to have to get this all done now. It's like, these things take time. I mean, You've been doing this for how many years now?
Shoot, I don't even know.
But you were in sixth grade, so what, 15, 20, 20 years or so.
Something like that.
Yeah, like this whole thing, it takes time, and I hope that there are people out there who listen to this who say that maybe if they're doing a job that they don't like, that they're doing it just for the paycheck, that to actually see somebody be passionate about what they actually do and not be worried about having to live up to society's expectations. It's a really powerful motivator. It's a really powerful way of inspiration. It's funny how you made the difference between motivation and inspiration. I never would have thought about that, but it's a great point there. So what's on your agenda now? What's coming up next for you? What's the next step in the album or the show?
Next step is I'd love to work with like an animator or something like that. Somebody who does something dope with video or animation and like create a whole like animated story around my ambient experimental music. I think that'd be pretty cool.
It's really interesting to hear that, because just thinking about your progression, it's still very organic. It's very much like I need to create my music at my pace. So if my show happens, great, and when it does, it's going to be the best thing that I could ever produce. If that's 6 months from now or a year from now or 2 years from now, it is what it is. Like, I want to make sure I get this done the way that I want to get it done. And again, another tidbit of advice, I think, just giving to people, that investing the time into your self and what you want to do takes paramount over trying to live a life that's not really you, trying to fit into a world where it's like, this may not be who you are. That's not who you are over here. This is who you are over here, and that's okay. People have so much talent now that sometimes gets suppressed because we feel we have to live a certain way. But doing what you're doing is it's such a great thing. So I'm really excited about it. I can't wait for the show to actually happen and get off the ground. I mean, like, even the album that you sent me, how long did it take you to put that one together?
That was actually really fast. Only because I feel like the Rossi Lowe, he's very talented, and he knew exactly how to maneuver around, like how to work that program that we were using. And all it was me coming in already knowing what I wanted in terms of like what the vibe will be with the lyrics, and like what the sound, like sonically, and like just telling him in a way that he understood, like whether it be me making sounds or like me like referencing different sounds or whatever, and then while he would create the beat and I would be writing the lyrics, and literally we'd make a song in like 2 or 3 hours. And
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Now,
but I will say that all those songs were made in 2015 and 16, and I didn't put them out until like 2018 or 19 or something like that. And I don't know why I just decided to just put them out. I don't know. I really like those songs a lot. And actually, I know. There's with artists are perfectionists. We can be perfectionists, and as we create things, you learn as you create, and so you learn, and so when you move forward and you make more things, then you kind of can sometimes either look back and be like, dang, I could have done this another way. I could have wrote this another way, or like, you can kind of do that, or you can look back and appreciate it and keep moving forward and make new things. And I think I got to the point where like, I actually really appreciate that journey. I really appreciated making all those songs, and I want to put them out there and just keep moving forward and making things and put new things out there, just so that I can so that I can so that my progression is out there and not just like in my head or in my laptop or like I think that's more so what it was.
I mean, it makes sense. You could make it and just sort of sit on it and say, it's not the right time to release it. Or, you know what? As good as it is now, something tells me that I can make this better later on.
Yeah.
And to not have that pressure to say, this is due now, give me what you got, we're going to produce it. It's like, no, I'm gonna hold on to this for a little bit, see if there's anything else I could do to make it better.
Yeah.
Which again, that's a great tool to have when you don't have the pressure to say this has to get done now. Because if you ever reach that point where it's like I have to be on somebody else's schedule, you sort of lose your interest, your own passion. It becomes more about I have to do this as opposed to I want to do it. And you're right, that's something that can definitely inhibit talent. But you're at a position now where I think you'd probably be a good mentor to somebody who's interested in doing this, to say, hey, I just want to create music, or I'm really into dance. I have no idea what the first step is, no pun intended. How do I go about that? How do I go about, taking what I have as a talent and turning it into something? So I think that if people were able to find you to say, yeah, this is Chris's journey. This is what he does every day to make his talents even more better. This is the work you have to put in for it. This is what you need in order to succeed in this for yourself, not for anybody else, for what you want to do. So I think that's probably in your future too, is being a mentor to somebody coming up in the industry and what they want. I think we kind of got off topic on this part here, but I wanted to go back to was it called turf dancing?
Yeah.
Turf dancing right there. I haven't seen it around lately. Is it because of the pandemic and everything, or it's because it's sort of like,
I think it's because of the pandemic. Yeah, I'd say it's because of the pandemic. Because before that, actually, you know what? They just had a few turf battles in the Westfield Mall recently. Like, yeah, on the top floor. It was a big battle too. There was like thousands of people there.
Wow.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That just happened like a couple weeks ago, actually.
Wow, that's crazy, and that's still a thing that it's such a great expression of somebody's talent when you see somebody be able to put the moves like that on, that sometimes you're like, how is that possible to do that, and then to see him actually do it, it's like, man, that's just raw pure talent right there. Like the guy, or whoever they are, they have the whole world ahead of them if they want to just pursue that. Do you ever see people who have that raw talent? You're like, that person can make something of himself, and then they never pursue it. Have you seen that?
Yes, I've seen it a lot, but I never see anyone as, they'll never be able to do, like, people have their rough patches, and eventually the people around them maybe will inspire the people around them who kept going will maybe inspire them to their own growth, and they'll catch up. Like, sometimes people have to see an example of how to do things to do them for themselves. And so that's why I believe that selfishness is actually truly selfless. Selfishness is actually the more like beneficial for other people.
Yeah, it's funny how you say that, because I think the exact same way. But the problem is, if you say that I'm going to be selfish, it comes off with this negative connotation, like, oh, you only think about yourself. Well, actually, right now I am thinking about myself, because if I don't take care of this, how am I supposed to be a better person for you, or how am I supposed to be a better employee at work? I need to think about myself and get my own head straight, because if it's all about everybody else, everybody may like it, but now I'm forgetting about what makes me tick. It's very interesting that you brought that up, because I see that so much. People who think about everybody else first, which sounds like it's a great idea, but because they don't take care of themselves, that just builds up, and they sort of lose, like, what was it that I was going for in the beginning?
Selfless. You're without yourself, and that's what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much hit the nail on the head there. Oh man, what do you think has been if you could pick one thing that gets in the way the most of artists not pursuing their talents, what would it be? Would it be lack of support, family?
I think worthiness is always what it is. Just not feeling worthy for whatever it is that you want. I believe that everyone can do, be, or have anything. And it's like with everybody's like the horse that you take to the water. The horse, you can't make the horse drink. So it's like you have to feel worthy enough for what you want, and selfish enough to go after what you want.
That makes total sense. I mean, yeah, you're right. You could have all the talent in the world, but if you say I'm not good enough, you just kind of, or that guy made it because he got that break or she got that break, and now I'm not in that same boat too. You're right. If you keep giving yourself the excuse that you're not going to make it in this world, then you won't.
Mm-hmm.
The selflessness that comes from putting yourself first in the beginning. Obviously, there are certain things, like if you have a family, your children come first because they need you first. Yeah. But assuming that that's not the case there, it's like you have to be able to make the investment in yourself first, believe that you can actually do something, and just go for it. Mm-hmm. Whatever happens, happens. You take away the pressure of having to say that I need this to make me $1 million a year. Take away the pressure of I have to get famous. You just do what you want to do. If people like it, they're going to enjoy it. And if they don't want to like it, then, oh, well, you enjoy what you do. That's the main thing right there.
Exactly. And that's why I say the true sign of success is happiness, or being able to conjure up your own happiness. Like if success is being in control of your own emotions.
Well spoke. I couldn't have said any better, because that's pretty much the nail on the head there. So, Chris, if somebody wanted to look out to see some of your work, to see some of the images that you posted on your Instagram, how can they reach out to you? What's your Instagram? Do you have a website? How do they find everything?
I am in the middle of finalizing a website, but right now my Instagram is at SCARVVV. That's S as in Sam, C as in cat, A as in apple, R as in Robert, V as in Victor, V as in Victor, V as in Victor.
How did that one come up?
Everybody would, when I was like middle school, high school, call me, oh, yo, Scarver. And then like when I would, people would start calling me Scarv, like.
Okay. That makes sense. All right.
Yes.
Perfect. Now, how about your album? Can they find your album? Are you ready to put it out in the public world yet?
Fading Blue?
Yes.
Yeah. That's on SoundCloud.com/Scarver7.
Scarver7.
Yeah.
Okay. And the album's Fading Blue.
Yep.
Is that going to be on Apple anytime soon?
That
Spotify?
One's just going to stay where it is, but moving forward, there's going to be some music all over the place.
All right. Now, how about your dancing? If they want to get in touch with your performance, is that going to be on your website? Everything is going to be up?
That's going to be there, yeah.
Okay. Do you have the website name already, just not launched, or you're still working on the name?
I don't have the name yet.
But they can find it on your Instagram when the right time is.
Exactly. Okay. The link will be in my Instagram.
On your Instagram. That's awesome, man. I can't wait to see that show, man. You got me all excited for now to see how you're going to put that music together with the dance that nobody's ever done before. I mean, it's going to be awesome to see, man. I can't wait. But this has been fun, Chris. We'll do it again sometime.
Definitely.
Maybe after the show we can talk about how everything went, and I'm sure plenty of people are going to be like, that was so awesome to see that work put together. So I'm excited for it.
Me too.
All right, Chris. Thanks for coming out. I really appreciate it. This was fun, man.
I appreciate you too.
All right, man. Everybody take care.